What's up, guys? Welcome into Dynasty Drip today. We're going to be doing a buy low video for you. One of my favorite topics. Obviously, Dynasty is all about buying low. About the channel, give me 30 days to make your Dynasty team better. Give me 30 days to help you learn something about Dynasty fantasy football. Please subscribe. Let me make your team better. Let me help you win your Dynasty championship this year and into the future. But let's get the video kicked off today. We're going to start off with someone who, he's been in the news. I'm sure anyone who tunes into the channel knows I've talked about this player a lot in the past, and I was kind of on him last offseason. J.K. Dobbins. I personally think J.K. Dobbins is a good buy low right now in the Dynasty landscape. Currently, this is underdog ADP, so this is best ball. This is not Dynasty ADP, but going around the 170 mark. Let's not forget Dobbins was RB24 last year. Had a very good year when he was on the field. He did miss a couple games. I think he missed 3 games, but he basically had 1,000 yards, led the Chargers in rushing, had 30-something catches out of the backfield. So he can be utilized out of the backfield. I don't think it's going to be something that is necessarily the strength or his role for the Broncos. But for me, the price he's going, there's 2 situations, maybe 3 situations for Dobbins. Obviously, the worst one, he gets hurt, which is something that happens with J.K. Dobbins, and that's why his rank, his value is a lot lower. But I'm willing to take a risk here because I think there's 2 things when he gets on the field here. Number one, it's possible he's just the best running back in that backfield. I mean, we love RJ Harvey. This is nothing against him. I think if RJ Harvey takes a dip, he's a good buy low as well. But the thing is I don't think anyone thought RJ Harvey was going to be on the field for 85% of the snaps. I mean, look back through Sean Payton, even when he had Kamara and Mark Ingram, they both coexisted and could be playable. And for me, I keep that in my head with someone like J.K. Dobbins, where he may be the more efficient runner and still have a chance to have, almost 180, 200 carries and still have RJ Harvey have enough catches that they're both playable. And even in a worse split for Dobbins, let's say he only gets 40% of the backfield, I still think he has a chance to be valuable and maybe be, an RB3 or something. And he's going well later than RB3 price right now. So trade idea here for Dobbins is, can I trade someone like Braylon Allen, who according to KTC is even saying this is an overpay? Allen up here at RB43, Dobbins down at RB48. But just for me, I think Dobbins obviously has the upside as a handcuff, if you want to call him that, if Harvey were to go down the way we are projecting that backfield. But also, I just think that Dobbins could have a role in a flex kind of way with the Broncos if he becomes the best rusher on the team and Harvey's used more in a Darren Sproles-esque role instead of the Alvin Kamara role. But even with Kamara, Mark Ingram still had a role. But moving on to another guy, this is a second-year player, basically forgotten from last year, as his rookie season was not very memorable because he was just hurt basically the whole time, and that's going to be MarShawn Lloyd. To me, MarShawn Lloyd is a pretty good value as a late round kind of dart throw. He's going 220 here on underdog. I think in Dynasty, he's really not going very early. You probably could get him for like a 3rd round pick or something. But to me, I just think people are misremembering how the Packers used their backfield last year. Obviously, Josh Jacobs had a majority of the touches, but I went back and looked, and, Emmanuel Wilson, who was basically the number 2 there, and Chris Brooks, who was the number 3, if we lumped them into one player together, that was about 140 carries, 20 or so catches on 30 targets. And if you're telling me if that's consolidated into someone like Lloyd, I don't hate that role in an offense that projects to be good like Green Bay, let alone the chance that if Jacobs were to go down, Lloyd has a chance to fill in and be someone who maybe could be a league winner. We haven't really seen Lloyd much. I think me and a lot of people really like the tape. He just missed last year, so we didn't really get to see him on the field and see it come to fruition. But for me, can I trade someone like Wan'Dale Robinson, a guy who, even if you have this guy as a depth wide receiver, I don't really see him being anything above replacement value. Even last year, he had a crazy amount of catches and targets, and he didn't really turn it into much more than an wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 kind of thing. So for me, I'd much rather have someone like Lloyd, who has a much higher ceiling, And also just holds the ability to maybe be a flex player, similar to the way I was talking about Dobbins, where this guy gets on the field 30% of the times. He could fill in for a week or two. You could throw him in a flex if he's getting some catches. And I think those aren't the worst guys to hold around. I'd rather hold a running back at that level, because a running back, if they become the starter for a week because of an injury, you'll slide that guy into your lineup. Where Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't think you ever would really want to slide into your dynasty lineup here. Now, this next one's going to be the lowest ranked player we talk about today. I'm calling it a buy low. You could call it a stash. You could call it a sleeper. It doesn't really matter. But he's a guy that for the price right now, I'm looking to put on my roster, and that's going to be Dante Thornton, wide receiver here on the Raiders. A couple things I like about him is he's tall, he's fast, and I think he has a unique potential role for the Raiders that those other wide receivers don't really fill. I think Brock Bowers obviously is going to be their number one pass catching weapon. They have Genty. But Myers is not necessarily a field stretcher. They do have Trey Tucker, right? And he does have the speed, but he doesn't have the height or the size. And there's been a couple reports that Thornton is kind of running ahead Jack Besh right now. And for me, just the price that he's going, I'm willing to take a risk that maybe he wins the wide receiver 3 role. Maybe he wins the wide receiver 2 role and plays in those 2 wide receiver slot sets over someone like Jack Besh. Besh is liked and loved in the dynasty community. He was going in the second round, but it's not like he had some massive, hypey college success. Like, he had an okay season. He's fine. It's not like he was playing at Alabama, though. He finished off at TCU, which is where he finally got noticed. So for me, you can call this a trade. You can call this spend your fab on him. You can call this take him in the 4th round of your rookie drafts. I'm saying I'd trade a future 4th for Thornton. I've seen him a lot of times go kind of in that first waiver run after rookie drafts. He may still be on your waiver wire. You may be able to acquire him just for a future pick. I'm willing to take a shot on him. Obviously he's going this late. There's no guarantees with a player like that. But for me, he's someone that I am intrigued enough to try to stash on the back end of my roster, stash him on the taxi squad, stuff like that. But getting into the next player, we're going to go with another rookie. This one is more of a buy than a buy low, because I don't really think this player is being valued too low in the dynasty community. But I'm going to talk about Tetairoa McMillan here. I'm going to lump in Travis Hunter as well. Where they're going right now in the dynasty landscape, I just believe they have some upward mobility moving into next year and the year before. There's a couple guys ahead of them, the Garrett Wilsons of the world, that if we start to see a little something from Travis or Tet, I think they're really going to swap in the rankings, and I think it's probably worth the investment. Now, when I go over this trade as well, I'm going to talk about the other main reason I like targeting these guys. And what I mean by this is I think Tet and Hunter, if you can get them by using a couple picks in next year's drafts, throwing a first and a second, some people like to accumulate draft value. And I just think a trade like this, if you can get it done, I even show here, I'm throwing in Jalen Royals, trying to get a little sweetener from this draft. I'm not guaranteeing this can get done, but I'm going to see if I can make it happen, because I think it's going to pay dividends where if you want to hold the player, I just think this asset's going to be better than what you're getting in drafts next year, potentially, besides a couple top end assets. So if you can get Tet, if you can get Hunter, I know it's not going to be easy. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to happen. But if you have a guy that's stuck to a calculator, we all have those guys in our leagues where if they wins on the calculator, they'll do the trade. Give it a try. No guarantee, but I want to put him on this list because I want to put him on people's radar where I think he has some upward mobility in the ranks. And I think it can happen really fast for a guy like Tet if he gets a lot of those targets from Bryce Young, who, if you remember last year, hyper targeted Adam Thielen. So I think he is a kind of quarterback that could do that. And if Tet steps into that role, I think it's going to pay dividends for me. So next player, a wide receiver I love to talk about, Rashee Rice, man. Now, he is being valued fairly highly, 37.5 here on Underdog ADP. But for me, it's just not high enough. I mean, we've seen some news come out recently that it looks like he's probably not going to get suspended. Now, that could always back off, but it's Dynasty. I'm really not too concerned about a potential suspension, just because if he does miss some time, you throw in a Darnell Mooney off the bench for 6-7 weeks, and I think you move on with your life, and then you still get Rice for the rest of his career. And to me, the upside with Rice is so high. If Rice comes out and balls out like he did to start the season last year, he could be dynasty wide receiver 9 before we know it. And he's not going there right now. Now, there's no guarantees, but I think we all know that if he hadn't gotten hurt last year, I really do think his trajectory for his dynasty ranking right now would be a lot different. And I think you're getting a suppressed price because of it. Now, he has the knee. It's a little risky. I'm willing to take the risk here. My trade for Rashee Rice, can I move Caleb Johnson and Roschon Johnson to go get him? Can I pivot some of these running backs and to get someone who I view as a more elite long-term asset in Rashee Rice? I don't hate Caleb Johnson. I don't hate Roschon Johnson. But if you can turn 2 running backs into an elite wide receiver like this, I'm going to do it every day. And Rice has shown he has the ceiling. We're just a little concerned about the injury. I do think I'm a little concerned Xavier Worthy came on late last year. But for me, I just think Rice is going to slot into kind of some of more of those Kelsey targets as Kelsey retires soon. And Xavier Worthy can still operate in other parts of the field without Rice and him really overlapping too much. So I love it. Last player, this one's going to be more of a contender buy low. And I just think he's being a little underrated right now. And that's going to be Courtland Sutton. Now, his underdog ADP, probably a little more accurate because he is more of a win now redraft kind of player. Let's not forget, they have him at wide receiver 15 last year. He dominated last year. He was Bo Nix's favorite target. Now, I do think Evan Ingram has a chance to have a good season as well. And I like some of the other guys in that wide receiver core. I mean, I like Pat Bryant as a stash. But I don't think Courtland Sutton has really aged out. And he was very, very good and very, very efficient last year as Bo Nix's number 1 target. And I don't really see a reason that's going to change too much. I think people just kind of have fatigue with players like Courtland Sutton. You know, he finally had a good year last year, but we remember some of his bad years previously. Or, you know, Courtland Sutton's not the new shiny piece. We have all these rookie wide receivers. And this happens every year with vet wide receivers. And they're just a great time to go buy them. Right here for Courtland Sutton, can I trade a guy I spoke about earlier who I'm losing a little faith in, throw a 4th on top to try and get it done in Jack Besh and go get Courtland Sutton onto my team? I mean, if you're looking for a wide receiver 3 for your dynasty team, I think Courtland Sutton's probably one of the best ones you could have on your team. He's just a great value right now, and he's going to put up some good numbers for you, especially in a PPR league. But thank you guys for tuning in today. A little buy low action. Love talking buy lows. I know the audience love buy lows. If you have any comments, let me know below. Any trade questions. I do have a Discord now. We've been talking about a bunch of trade advice in there. Feel free to follow below. Hit like on the video. Please hit subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you later.